So now we want to estimate the area under the curve using both left and right endpoints for the curve y equals square root x from 0 to 1 with n equals 4 rectangles. Indicate if each estimate is an underestimate or an overestimate of the actual area of the curve. So as we get more practice with these Riemann sums, we won't need to do a sketch. But to start us off, let's sketch what's going on and figure out what we're trying to find. So first, we have the curve square root x from 0 to 1. So I know that goes through 0, 0, and it goes through 1, 1, and we're looking for this area under the curve. Now we're trying, so this is y equals square root x. So we're trying to break that curve into 4 rectangles to help us approximate this area. So if that's the case, delta x, which is the base of each of my rectangles, is going to be 1 minus 0 divided by 4, or 1/4. So that means we're going to split this between 0 and 1 into 4 parts, each of them 1/4 the width. So 1/4, 2/4, which is 1/2, 3/4, and then 1. So that is going to help me decide where my left endpoint might be and where my right endpoint might be. So if we're trying to use left-hand endpoints, first let's sketch quickly what that will look like. So starting on the left, my first left endpoint is 0, and the height of that rectangle would be 0, right? Because f of 0 is 0. Here though, if I use this left endpoint going up to f of 1/4, here's that rectangle. Here, going up to f of 1/2 using the left side, here's that rectangle. And then f of 3/4 is where I stop for my last rectangle height. So I can see from my curve that this is going to be an underestimate, but let's go ahead and calculate what this approximate area is. So I'm going to say A using my left-hand endpoints is approximately. Now, if I look at this, each of these rectangles have the same base. That base is 1/4. Now, what's going to change about each of those rectangles is their height. So instead of multiplying by the base each time and adding those rectangles, I'm just going to factor out that base and then add my heights. So that's going to be f of 0 plus f of 1/4 plus f of 1/2 plus f of 3/4. All right, that creates my 4 rectangles. Here's each of my heights, and here's multiplied by the base. So the area of my left Riemann sum is approximately 1/4 times square root 0 plus square root 1/4 plus square root 1/2 plus square root 3/4. Now I'm going to stop there. Remember on an AP exam, if it was free response, you could stop here. So that's going to be units squared. Now, this is going to be an underestimate. And if we didn't make the sketch, we would know that's true because my curve is increasing. All right, so now let's practice the same problem, but using right-hand endpoints.